In late 2016, U.S. Embassy staff in Havana, Cuba started experiencing something impossible. They would be sitting in their homes, or in their hotel rooms, or in their embassy offices, and suddenly they would hear a sound, a high-pitched noise, directional, localized, as if a beam of sound was being pointed directly at them. Within seconds, they would experience intense pressure inside their skulls. Vertigo, nausea, nosebleeds. Some collapsed to the floor. When they moved to a different room, the sound stopped. When they returned, it started again. Over the next several months, at least 26 American diplomats and CIA officers in Cuba reported the same experience. They were sent home for medical evaluation. What doctors found in their brain scans should not have been possible, and what happened next has become one of the most disturbing unsolved mysteries in U.S. intelligence history. To understand this story, you have to go back to December 2016. At the U.S. Embassy in Havana, a CIA officer working undercover reported the first case. He was at home in the evening. He heard what he described as a loud, piercing sound that seemed to come from a specific direction. He tried to move away from it, but the sound followed him. He experienced immediate physical symptoms: ringing in the ears, headache, dizziness. He reported it to embassy medical staff, who initially thought it was stress. But within weeks, more cases came in, then more, then dozens. By August 2017, the U.S. government confirmed that at least 21 diplomats and intelligence officers had been affected by what they called specific attacks in Havana. The State Department pulled non-essential staff out of Cuba, expelled 15 Cuban diplomats from Washington, and officially began investigating what they were calling acoustic attacks. The Cuban government denied any involvement. So did Russia. So did China. But over the next 5 years, the attacks would spread across the world. In 2017, U.S. personnel in Guangzhou, China reported the same symptoms, the exact same directional sound, the exact same neurological effects, the exact same medical damage. Then in 2020, cases appeared in Vienna, Austria. At least 20 U.S. intelligence officers reported attacks over several months. By 2021, the attacks had reached Washington, D.C. A White House staffer was affected on the National Mall, less than 100 feet from the White House itself. That same year, cases appeared in Moscow, Berlin, London, Bogota, Hanoi, and Geneva. The pattern was always the same. A U.S. intelligence officer or diplomat would report a sudden directional sound. They would experience immediate symptoms. Their brains would show the same specific pattern of damage. But no one could figure out how it was being done, or by whom. Here's where the medical evidence becomes disturbing. In 2018, doctors at the University of Pennsylvania published a study in the New England Journal of Medicine. They had examined 21 of the affected diplomats. Their brain scans showed something unprecedented. The damage looked similar to a concussion. But the diplomats had no head injuries. They hadn't been hit. They hadn't fallen. They hadn't been in accidents. Their brains showed signs of injury, as if they had experienced severe physical trauma. But the trauma had come from something invisible. The doctors coined a new medical term for it. They called it Immaculate concussion, an injury with no visible cause. In 2020, the National Academies of Sciences published their own report. Their conclusion was that the most likely cause was pulsed radio frequency energy, some kind of directed energy weapon. But no such weapon has ever been publicly acknowledged to exist, at least not one that could do this. In 2022, the CIA made a rare public statement. They said that in most cases, the symptoms could be explained by stress, environmental factors, or pre-existing medical conditions, but they added a critical qualification. In a small number of cases, they could not explain what happened. Those cases involved genuine physical injury, real neurological damage, real medical evidence. Something had attacked those specific people, but nobody could prove what or who. The CIA continued its investigation. So did the FBI. So did the Pentagon. Multiple U.S. agencies formed a joint task force to identify the source of the attacks. Years passed. Millions of dollars were spent. Every possible theory was investigated. They found nothing. Now here's where it gets strange. Some researchers began to notice patterns. The victims were almost always U.S. intelligence officers, not just any diplomats. Specifically CIA case officers working on sensitive operations. In many cases, the officers have been recently promoted or moved into new positions dealing with hostile foreign governments. Some have been actively investigating Russian, Chinese, or Cuban intelligence operations at the time they were attacked. And in nearly every case, the attack stopped as soon as the officer was rotated out of their post. This pointed to something disturbing. Whoever was doing this had access to classified information about U.S. intelligence personnel. They knew who to target, where to find them, and when to attack. The implications were unsettling. It suggested that a foreign intelligence service had developed technology capable of causing brain damage from a distance, and had the ability to identify and locate specific U.S. operatives around the world. This was a level of sophistication that shouldn't exist. At least not publicly. In 2023, a group of researchers went public with a controversial theory. They believed the attacks were the work of a specific Russian intelligence unit, Unit 29155. This unit is known to be responsible for assassinations, sabotage operations, and other covert activities across Europe. The researchers pointed to evidence that members of Unit 29155 had been physically present in cities where Havana Syndrome attacks occurred. At the times the attacks happened, the Russian government denied everything. The U.S. intelligence community publicly stated that they could not confirm any specific foreign involvement, but privately, according to leaked reports, many U.S. intelligence officers believed the Russians were responsible. They just couldn't prove it, and they couldn't figure out what weapon was being used. In March 2023, the U.S. intelligence community released its official assessment. After 6 years of investigation, they concluded that Havana Syndrome was very unlikely to be the result of a foreign adversary attacking U.S. personnel. Instead, they suggested the symptoms were caused by environmental factors, undiagnosed medical conditions, or stress. Many victims and their advocates rejected this conclusion. They pointed out that hundreds of experienced U.S. intelligence officers, doctors, and neurologists had confirmed genuine physical injuries, that brain scans showed real damage, that symptoms appeared in specific locations at specific times, then vanished when the victim moved. They also pointed out that the U.S. government has a long history of downplaying threats to protect operational security or avoid diplomatic incidents. The official investigation is technically closed, but the attacks may not be, because in 2024, new cases were reported in 3 different countries, all involving U.S. personnel, all with the same symptoms. The mystery continues. So what actually happened to those American diplomats? Was it a directed energy weapon developed by a foreign adversary? Was it mass psychogenic illness triggered by stress and environment? Was it something entirely new that we don't yet have the science to identify? We may never know, but over 1,500 U.S. personnel have reported symptoms consistent with Havana Syndrome since 2016. Many of them are still suffering today, still experiencing headaches, memory loss, and neurological problems. They were attacked by something invisible, and the government that sent them into harm's way has essentially told them it never happened. There's one final detail you should know. In 2019, a U.S. Navy officer named Mark Lenzi was stationed at the U.S. consulate in Guangzhou, China. He was one of the diplomats affected by Havana Syndrome. Before his exposure, he was a healthy, active intelligence professional. After his exposure, he suffered permanent brain damage, chronic headaches, cognitive decline, symptoms he still struggles with today. In a rare public interview, Lenzi said, "Something did this to me. I know it. My doctors know it. My family knows it. The only people who don't want to know it are the people who could stop it from happening to someone else." Lenzi filed multiple lawsuits against the U.S. State Department for failing to protect him. To this day, none of them have been fully resolved. If this video disturbed you, good. That means you're paying attention. Subscribe to MythicNeuron for more terrifying truths the universe doesn't want you to know. Stay curious. Stay afraid, because sometimes the scariest attacks aren't the ones you can see coming. They're the ones that are already happening, and nobody can figure out how.